Welcome back to As Promised. This week we saw Sonia Massey, a black woman who was killed in her home in America yet again. She called the police because she believed there was an intruder and they executed her. This episode is about repression, suppression, not facing things when they come at the time that they come, and how that manifests, and how, as solution based people, them and a solution based babe myself, we can transmute the energy that we feel and put it in places in which not only do we feel better about our existence, we also can continue to journey on without the freezing of fear, because we are not afraid and we can't be afraid. Avoiding pain is effective. Humans aren't lemmings. If your friends dare you to jump into an empty marble quarry, you don't have to just because they do. Hopefully you don't do that at all. But the simple tactic of pain avoidance backfires in the brain. You've probably heard the old challenge, try not to think of an elephant. I've never heard of that challenge. Has anybody else ever heard of that challenge? The mere mention of elephant triggers associations in the brain. This is essential for human existence. It's how we learn, by steps of association. At this moment, you associate the words on this page with all the words you've ever read, and thus you can decide to absorb and accept what you're reading or not. Fear associates pain with pain, however. Its associations feel bad, and when somebody mentions it, you will try very hard to push pain out of the way. Pushing feelings, memories, and experiences out of sight, which is called repression, doesn't work. Lurking somewhere out of sight are the associations you don't want to face. Carl Jung, following Freud's lead, believed that part of us creates a fog of illusion in order to keep life from being too painful. Definitely fact. He called it the shadow, all the hidden fear, rage, jealousy, and violence that gets shoved into secret compartments in the psyche. Oof. On the face of it, Freud seems to be wrong. Most people are quite good at denial. They don't face painful truths. They block out all kind of experiences they wish they'd never had. But the shadow taps out messages in the dark. Oh boy, ominous. Repressed feelings rise up like ghosts. Sometimes you feel anxious because your fear is trying to rise up. But repression is tricky. You can feel anxious because you are worried about keeping secrets or because the pain of avoiding pain is too great. The anecdotes to repression are two: openness and honesty. If you are open to all your feelings and not just the nice ones, you don't have to repress anything. You have no little dirty secrets to squirrel away. If you are honest, you can name your feelings, and no matter how unwelcome they are, nobody is perfect at this. Okay, let's pause right there. I want to look at the part of creating an illusion of reality that is supposed to keep you safe. It's supposed to make you feel protected or at least help you avoid the pain. And in last week's episode, I mentioned really briefly about the realities that we create for ourselves, the realities that people create for us and try to project onto us. And if you're an artist and storyteller, the realities you have to exist in when you're within a project, because that's your job. You become a vessel and you have to go and be this person for however long it is that you're on that project for. And where it says that there is this version of the world that we create illusions around, let me read it properly and not paraphrase. Believe that part of us creates a fog of illusion in order to keep life from being too painful. I think is another form of reality that we have to take into stock and be aware of. Last week, there was the question of what is really happening or what actually is in front of me? What is my reality? And I think that also means having to go past, through, the illusion, the fog of illusion that we create for ourselves in order for life not to be that painful. Repression is definitely is supposed to help you not exist in those painful experiences. However, I think what we can offer ourselves and what we can offer our art is the pendulum that I was talking about, not trying to just live entirely serenely for the rest of your life. And I think that is actually the purpose of enlightenment. So this kind of goes against everything I say about meditation and whatever have you. I don't think that life is supposed to be entirely, stress free. I do think you have to exist in both parts, but the awareness around being in both parts, the awareness of going, oh wow, I'm having a joyful experience, this is great, and also the awareness of having, I'm not having a great time, I need to investigate why, or at least observe the reasons why, would help not diving into the repression and keeping all of these feelings, all of these emotions buried, that without a doubt is going to manifest as conflict in the future, and quite possibly the near future, in your minor reactions, how you speak to yourself, in your mind narrative, how you treat your loved ones, who you assume that, no matter what, they'll always be there for me. Noticing all of these little things that could bubble up and over, it's important to at least try and catch them before they do, or investigate them after they happen, in order not to repeat them in the future, for those that we love and for self. Because as we know, we're being of service to self as well. And here, where it says the antidotes to repression are openness and honesty. And I don't even know if that's an external practice. I would say that practice is entirely internal, being open and honest to and for self. What does being open to self mean? I think that actually means acknowledging that you might be a villain in someone else's story. We have all of these lists, desires, visions of ourselves that we hold up. And if we feel far away from them, or let's say, for example, you go gym 5 times a week, and then that one week you didn't go at all, you're not open to self if you put guilt and shame in those days that you missed in the gym. That's my example. Openness to self is recognizing that maybe my body needed to rest in that week. In that moment, everything is learning, everything is constantly shifting and moving and changing and stuff. But one thing that I think is important to know that you have access to is changing when you feel too heavy or too angry, changing, alleviating yourself of these conflicting and destructive thought patterns and emotions. Openness and honesty with self. And that also means allowing yourself to be honest and going, I'm not feeling all of this right now. Sometimes it's actually really annoying being on this spiritual, self reflective growth journey. You do all the therapy, you listen to all the podcasts, you read all the books, you buy more books, you do this, etc., etc. And then you have a relapse, or you lose your temper, or you feel down for a couple of days or a week, or you're feeling rocky back and forth, back and forth. It's not supposed to be smooth. Note to self, it's not supposed to be smooth, but you're on the journey and you're present within the journey and you're observing yourself in the journey. And that is where the evolution happens. That's the gang shit. That's the growth. And you have to celebrate yourself for that, because ultimately you're creating more opportunities, manifesting more realities where you are in control of your destiny. Simply, well, it's not simple, but by having a perspective of self, internal journey, external journey, that means you have the capacity to change how you feel in accordance to what you don't want to feel anymore, what you do want to feel anymore. That was a long winded exploration. Just want to go back to where it says, if you are honest, you can name your feelings no matter how unwelcome they are. I think that is such a good opportunity to be like, okay, I'm angry, or I've shouted at someone and I didn't mean to shout at them, or I did mean to shout at them. No, because we never let anyone take us for idiot. But it might not be beneficial to myself and it might not be beneficial to them. So, what you can therefore do after that is apologize or rectify the situation. Even apologizing to self, I think, is beneficial as well. Nobody is perfect at this. It says it right here in the text. And I'm saying from experience myself, I know despite being on this journey, despite having read this book how many years ago, I'm still not perfect at this. The life journey might be that I never get perfect at this, but at least I'm aware. It says, the important thing is to heal. In order to find the courage to bring up your secrets, you need detachment. Oh, so there's detachment again. Let me just tell y'all now, I have secrets. But I'm open and honest with myself about them. And that's fine with me. Like I said, I told you, nobody's perfect. Not I either. So here it says you must speak out your secrets. I think it's important to actually do it to self first. Being able to face yourself. Okay, listen to this. To speak the feelings that you have suppressed for years, your biggest risk is that the person in whom you confide will react judgmentally, at which point you may wish you had kept your secret hidden. But then, guilty has a nasty way of making us turn to the wrong people when we want to bare our souls. That's because we still play the double role of abused and abuser. We don't seek someone who then turns out to judge us. We seek them out because we know they will judge us. So you must prepare the ground first with thoughts like the following: I know I'm hiding something and it hurts. It's scary to come clean, but that's how I will heal. I want to be unburdened. Being haunted makes me too anxious. Fear is crippling. You feel too weak to do anything about it. When someone is frightened, they can become paralyzed with fear. Two soldiers charging up the hill at Gettysburg or two firefighters facing a burning house may feel the same fear as measured physically by changes in their brain. But if one is a veteran soldier or firefighter, their fear doesn't immobilize them. They relate to it in a different way from the soldier who has never faced gunfire or the rookie firefighter who has never had to run into a blaze. Being frozen with fear, in other words, depends on more than the body's fear response. Fear's ability to freeze you in your tracks is mysterious and changeable. An experienced rock climber can be enjoying a normal day's climb with nothing especially risky ahead of him when suddenly he can't move another inch. He freezes on the rock face because suddenly his mind, instead of taking for granted the danger of falling, thinks, oh my God, look at where I am. The raw fear of falling takes hold, and it doesn't matter how often the climber has been on the same rock face. He has computed the experience in a new way. Everything that you do, especially with repetition, your body knows how to handle the situation. Your body will know how to get you out of there, even if he was realizing for the first time how high or scary it was to be on that rock face. How you choose to reinterpret any bit of raw input can work to your advantage. The raw input being the external stimuluses that happen in life, right? And reinterpret means not just interpreting it as you have before, but reevaluating, re-acknowledging it. You can work it to your advantage. Since your brain isn't you, neither is its reactions. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. The way out of any fear is to get past its power to frighten you. It talks about quickly the 2008 collapse of the American economy. According to the data at hand, the economy was strong enough not to lose as many millions of jobs as it did. But this was a case where data didn't matter. People allowed themselves to be frightened by fear. Manageable anxiety was transformed into panicky behavior. Mind, brain, and body are seamlessly connected. I say this all the time. Holistic vibes. Being afraid of fear leads to all kinds of symptoms, such as muscle weakness, fatigue, loss of enthusiasm and drive, forgetfulness that you were once unafraid, poor appetite, and sleep. I wrote down sleep again because I don't be going to bed on time. It's not good. But when fear lifts, the whole body changes. Even if your fear lingers, knowing that you are safe signals the brain to restore you to your normal state. Anxiety tells you that you are in great danger, and the body doesn't operate with a rheostat to turn the fear response up and down. It only knows on and off. Oh, okay. The fear response only knows on or off. Oh, that's really interesting. Because once you bypass the fear response, you can get anything done. Even fear of the number 13, which is my number. I wonder why the number 13 gets such a bad rep. Triskaidekaphobia can feel as if you're going to die. A blunt but effective treatment for phobias uses saturation to short circuit the exaggerated fear. Overwhelm you with that phobia in order to short circuit the fear. It says they're not recommending saturation. That's not the message. But it is necessary to diffuse the fear that fear provokes. In order to get out of your fear of being anxious, you need to cultivate thoughts like the following: I am not going to die. No matter how scary this is. And I always say this extra part: I'm not going to die. And if I do die, I'm not going to know. Nobody wakes up and goes, oh shit, I died. You just won't know. So you have to live your life fully. Find fulfillment. Can't even speak. Go for fulfillment as opposed to happiness or this idea of success or this idea of validation. Feel fulfilled, because that's an internal thing. Find fulfilling work, you find fulfilling people, fulfilling activities. That's the internal work. That's what changes your perspective. Going for fulfillment and not for materialistic satisfaction. Anyway, I'm rapping. That's why my words are all catching up with myself. It says, I need to face my exaggerated sense of danger. Since I know I can survive, I can risk not running away from my fear. I can face fear and still do things that scare me. Big facts. The more I face fear, the more control I gain over it. When I'm really in control once more, my fear will vanish. Oh, I like that. There is no fear when you feel in control. Oh. It says this is the final step in dismantling the stickiness of anxiety. You can approach the problem, however, by starting with any of these steps we've covered. The aim is always the same: to get to a more detached place. I think that aim could be misleading in terms of detachment and disassociation, but I don't think that's what they mean in this book. I think they mean something else that we'll explore in a second. Phobias prove that reality isn't strong enough to conquer fear. You can put a few harmless spiders on someone who's deathly afraid of them, and their panic may induce a heart attack. What's stronger than reality? Knowing that you are the reality maker. That is the pivotal point. Once you regain the clarity that comes from knowing how reality is made, you're free. You've invaded the workshop of the brain and declared that you are in control. The creator has returned. Biblical. Biblical. Anxiety is fear being scared of fear. And we have to alleviate our fear by taking control, asking ourselves the questions: what am I actually afraid of? What is actually before me? This is actually what I think the book means in regards to being detached, that you're separate enough from the experience in order to ask yourself questions about it, to find a place in which you can relate to whatever it is that is happening externally or internally, but ultimately will produce your good, stronger, more prosperous neural patterns, but also a memory of how you survived whatever challenge it was before. That's what I think they mean in regards to detachment. You can't exist in that space truly holistically with the openness and the honesty especially if you are caught up or attached to that which is happening. If you allow it to be a part of your identity, you allow it to be a part of your narrative, your personal story, it's extremely hard to imagine a detached version of you saying and asking yourself these questions. I think that's what they mean by detachment. Am I being open and honest about what I'm feeling with myself? But that doesn't mean to say that fear won't come and we won't feel consumed by it and we won't feel frozen by it. But now we know that actually I don't have nothing to be afraid of. And I don't need to feel frozen by fear. I don't need to feel stagnant either. Because these episodes exist and you can just come and listen to them and recap whenever you need to. We study, we read, we listen, we try and lay new neural pathways in order for us to feel like our experience is fulfilling and we're present within it, we have awareness. And then times like Sonia Massey's murder happens and we relapse, or we're afraid again, angry again, confused, hurt again, and therefore reinforce those neural pathways that keep us in self-destructive patterns and habits, that keep us not comfortable in our bodies, not feeling the freedom of perspective, awareness, reality making, if you will. This is the gift that I just want to offer to myself, who will be listening to this when I need it, and to everyone and anyone that listens to it while we go through this book together. We don't have to feel fear. We don't have to feel like we are being hunted. We don't have to feel like the world or everything, institutionalized racism, hatred, all those other things, are up against us. I think we can be aware of them, even in senses, acknowledge and observe them too, in order for us to prepare a fertile ground for our growth. Heaven and hell is within. Heaven and hell is external too, but it's also within. My condolences to her family. But I'm sure these are just one of the many videos that we don't get to see. So we can't live in fear. We can't live in anxiety, fear of the fear. We have to live boldly, curiously, and with flair. Fuck it. Do it for the plot. I don't know what I'm encouraging right now, but live fulfillingly, please. Because anxiety, though it feels real, is not. These are just chemical reactions, responses that we have reinforced. And we are capable of switching them up. So I saw this exercise at some point last week, um, a version of laughing therapy, and I love to laugh. So I'm like, we definitely need to do this. And I hope you do it too. And that will be how we will end this episode. So I hope you have a great week and I hope you find fulfillment in every which way. The exercise is simple. I think you go upwards in counting. So I will laugh, ha. And then if you're listening, you'll also laugh, ha. And then I will laugh, ha, ha. And then so on. And the end result, we will obviously figure out with each other. Okay. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. I forgot to let you guys ha. See, this is because I'm a Virgo. I always want to win. What number was I on? Was that 8? Oh shit. Isn't it mad that I'm now I'm laughing with a laptop basically? Okay. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. It's dumb, but at least you feel good.